Our war hero has arrived. You made a good choice coming back here. Osage are the finest, wealthiest, and most beautiful people on God's earth.
From Shutter Island to The Wolf of Wall Street, there is always an insane brilliance whenever director Martin Scorsese casts Leonardo DiCaprio to star in his movies, and his latest film, Killers of the Flower Moon, isn't different. The film stars DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, another of Scorsese's favorite actors. Killers of the Flower Moon is based on the 2017 book of the same name by David Gran. The movie premiered at the 76th Cannes Film Festival on May 20, 2023. It was released in theaters in the United States on October 20, 2023, by Apple TV Plus, under their Apple Original Films label, and by Paramount Pictures. Killers of the Flower Moon is a crime drama about a series of murders in the Osage Nation reservation in Oklahoma during the 1920s.
Again, many different layers and shades and tones to earnest that we just developed as we went along, and still amazes me.
Yeah, this is the one that's over.
Just like many of Scorsese's most acclaimed films, including Raging Bull, 1980, Goodfellas, 1990, The Aviator, 2004, and The Wolf of Wall Street, 2013, his latest movie is based on a true story.
I was sent down from Washington, D.C. to see about these murders.
This is not particularly a simple story to tell, but as the iconic Martin Scorsese himself famously said, there is no such thing as simple, simple is hard.
As far as taking risks at this age, what else can I do? What am I going to do? I don't know. What do they want me to do? I don't understand. Take a risk. No, let's go do something comfortable. Are you kidding? Comfortable, like sitting comfortable on a set in the heat? You might as well be risking.
There are only a few movie directors in Hollywood who can make a story such as this come alive, as one reviewer stated. In this video, we will delve deep into the true story of Osage tribe and the murders in the 1920s following the discovery of oil deposits in the territory. We will look at how much the film captures the true story and the controversies around it. Of course, we promise no spoilers, but you already know that's our style, we never do spoilers. Please support us by hitting the subscribe button, we promise you will like it here. Don't forget to like and share this video as well. Let's go.
The Osage were considered incompetent at that time and weren't allowed to be in charge of their own wealth. And by getting a caretaker like Ernest as her husband, they became an independent unit. They were able to take care of one another.
Here's the true story of the Osage murders, a vast and complex plot in which conspirators lied, killed, and even married into families to steal the rights to oil on their Oklahoma land. The conspiracy was so evil that it led to one of the first murder investigations by what is today known as the FBI. A conspiracy for oil money. The Osage Nation, a Native American tribe of the Great Plains, were driven from their Kansas lands in the late 19th century and relocated to a rocky, barren reservation in northeastern Oklahoma. The land was considered worthless until the 1890s, when some of the largest oil deposits in the United States at the time were discovered there. By the 1920s, the Osage people collectively received more than $400 million in today's dollars, making them the wealthiest people per capita in the world. They built terracotta mansions, had chauffeured cars, hired servants, and sent their children to private school. However, a group of businessmen launched a conspiracy to steal the oil right out from under the Osage people, using illegal means and even murder where necessary.
That state money flows the right direction, it'll come to us.
Was exploiting and manipulating them.
And if necessary, do away with them, almost as if it was for their own good.
Don't make small trouble. You're gonna make trouble, make it big.
This scheme was led by William Hale, played by De Niro in the film, who built a ranch on the Osage Reservation and became rich raising cattle there, becoming known as the King of Osage Hills. Rights to the oil revenue could only be legally obtained by outsiders if they married into the tribe, so Hale encouraged his nephew, Ernest Burkhart, played by DiCaprio, to marry Molly Kyle, portrayed by Lily Gladstone, an Osage woman living with her mother, Lizzie Q, in Fairfax, Oklahoma, according to Gran's book. A series of mysterious deaths. One by one, members of the family turned up dead. Kyle's sister Anna Brown was found shot to death in May 1921, and 2 months later, Lizzie Q died of a suspected poisoning, according to Dennis McAuliffe's book Bloodland, a family story of oil, greed and murder on the Osage Reservation. In March 1923, another of Lizzie's daughters died, along with her husband, when their home was destroyed by an explosion. Burkhart and Kyle saw their fortunes grow as they inherited the estates of these family members. Lizzie's nephew Harry Rohn also died in 1923, and Hale fraudulently named himself the beneficiary of Rohn's $25,000 life insurance policy, according to Grand's book. Meanwhile, other Osage people from outside the family were also dying under mysterious or suspicious circumstances.
And then, one by one, the number of unsolved murders grows. 60 or more, maybe hundreds of Osage are killed from 1918 to 19...
The Osage killings became one of the first murder investigations launched by the FBI, which was then called the Bureau of Intelligence. Tom White, portrayed by Jesse Plemons, led the investigation, which involved agents going undercover as insurance salesmen, cattle buyers, and citizens to gather evidence. A conspiracy revealed. Hale quickly fell under suspicion, and although some members of local law enforcement attempted to derail the federal investigation, Hale and Burkhart were arrested in 1926 for their part in the conspiracy, according to McAuliffe's book. Another conspirator named Kelsey Morrison was also arrested after he admitted to murdering Anna Brown, according to Grand's book. It is estimated at least 24 Osage people were killed as a result of Hale's conspiracy. Stretching to a runtime exceeding 3 hours, the film, which was set in the 1920s, reportedly cost Apple $200 million in budget. This is not surprising considering the weight of the cast. DiCaprio was paid $30 million for his role in the film. Filming was supposed to begin in the summer of 2019, but was later shifted to June 2020, but COVID struck and the project had to be moved indefinitely.
Money to the drone, the whole unit, you know? Now, as part of a family with several valuable shares, they called it head rights, of oil profits and lots of land they had. So Ernest was, probably encouraged to marry her by his uncle in order to get her family's head rights, which gave him access to and control over her shares in the oil profits. But I think Ernest is also...
Principal photography ultimately began on April 19, 2021, with filming taking place in Osage County and Washington County, namely Pawhuska, Fairfax, and Bartlesville. In a news release before the beginning of filming, Scorsese said, "We are thrilled to finally start production on Killers of the Flower Moon in Oklahoma. To be able to tell this story on the land where these events took place is incredibly important and critical to allowing us to portray an accurate depiction of the time and people. We're grateful to Apple, the Oklahoma Film and Music Office, and the Osage Nation, especially all our Osage consultants and cultural advisors, as we prepare for this shoot. We're excited to start working with our local cast and crew to bring this story to life on screen and immortalize a time in American history that should not be forgotten."
Action! I told her, you do it yourself. She said, I don't want to do it myself. I said, you're going to have to. How you doing, Mr. Hale?
I think the gamble was to take on this incredibly important story that really was a reckoning with our past. I mean, so much has been learned in the last few years, and this story has, much like the Tulsa massacre, has been something that people have started to learn about and started to understand as a part of our culture, as a part of our history.
Some of the film's most transcendent moments capture the swirl of life in Osage County, from its weddings to its family meals. Many feature Molly's mother, Lizzie, Tantu Cardinal, whose experiences on the brink of death are represented in stunning flights of magical realism. The chaotic town of Fairfax, where people ride on horses and race cars down the main street, is a fascinating jumble of Old West and modernity, its veneer of optimism and progress queasily coexisting with the Ku Klux Klan and white-led race riots in Tulsa, just 65 miles away. As in the book, the subtext of Killers of the Flower Moon is what might have been, a brief dream of tolerance and coexistence curdles into an engulfing exercise in cultural and financial theft. It has been doing well since its release in theaters across the U.S. on October 20, 2023. Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone, and a host of other stars put in a brilliant performance that received praise from top film critics in Hollywood.
Molly being somebody who's described as easy to like, then in a way fatefully and in a way intentionally meets Ernest Burkhart.
Martin Scorsese has emerged as one of the major figures of the new Hollywood era.
From Molly's scene where she says, the first scene.
He is the recipient of many major accolades, including an Academy Award, 4 BAFTA Awards, 3 Emmy Awards, a Grammy Award, 3 Golden Globe Awards, and 2 Directors Guild of America Awards. Killers of the Flower Moon has continued to wow movie fans, and most of the reviews have been positive. This is an utterly absorbing film, a story that Scorsese sees as a secret history of American power, a hidden violence epidemic polluting the water table of humanity.
The whole unit, you know? Now, as part of a family with several valuable shares, they called it head rights, of oil profits and lots of land they had. So Ernest was, probably encouraged to marry her by his uncle in order to get her family's head rights, which gave him access to and control over her shares in the oil profits.
It's one of Scorsese's most brutal films, yet one of his most thoughtful and self-reflexive, as he crafts a subversive murder mystery that leaves no lingering questions save for one. Killers of the Flower Moon is monumentally long, 206 minutes, and moves at an unhurried pace, but it knows where it's going and barely a second is wasted. It's sinuous and old school, an instant American classic, almost Steinbeckian in its attention to detail and its banked, righteous rage.
Don't do something you're going to regret for the rest of your life.